Shielding violent, illegal alien thugs in a globalist plot to destroy America. That is what we're focusing on today. Happy hump day. I guess it's Wednesday already. Whew, crazy. All right. Well, coming up, we have Allison. She's going to have some news to share. I believe she's going to share some about the SCOTUS decision on LGBTQ books. It's such a mouthful whenever we say that, LGBTQ. And a motive for Klaus Schwab's resignation and some other elements here. I expect we are also expecting Trump to sign some more executive orders, but who knows exactly what time he'll do that. He has such a busy schedule, but we will have it right here as this is kicking off the Lindell coverage, the White House coverage live for the next few hours. But first, let's check in on the economy because that's been a big topic just into my little Texas studio newsroom. Here, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the White House is considering slashing China tariffs to de-escalate trade war levies. Could be cut by more than half in some cases, although Trump has not made a final decision just yet. Now, if this is true, it might be related to price concerns, considering we did just report just the other day that he met with those big box stores, Walmart, Target, Lowe's, etc. And maybe they put a little pressure on, like, hey, now they're saying we get a lot of our products from North America, but come on, Walmart and stuff. I imagine they have some dealings with China. Maybe he's getting some pressure on that to keep those prices down, or it could just be another effort to get China to the negotiating table. But we'll stay on top of that. As far as the Wall Street, we, as always, are going to take a live look at the markets. Let's take a look. It's been in the green all morning, as far as I can tell, hovering around anywhere from 500 to 700 points up as far as the Dow goes. S&P up just over 100 points, and we have NASDAQ about 500 points up. That's what we'd like to see. And, the market is still recovering after another sell-off, and this could be related to possible reassurance from Trump about not firing the Fed chair, at least for now. More on that in a moment. But just a reminder that when it comes to investments, we got your back. We're all family here at Lindell TV, and we want to encourage you to make a precious metals play so that you can have a tangible asset that tends to go opposite of the market so that you're in good shape. Either way, you can go to MikeLindellGold.com, MikeLindellGold.com. The big guy, in this case, Mike Lindell, he has worked it out with the Fisher Liberty Gold to get you some freebies, a free coin and up to $20,000 in free silver if you look into MikeLindellGold.com, or you can call that number on your screen, 1-888-4GOLD-19. Another outside the market investment play is energy. We have a Trump administration that's fully behind energy. And so you can do that with an investment in oil, with a company that has been doing this forever, passive income plays when it comes to oil, Oxford Club. And you can do that at ChristieOilBoom.com. My name is spelled with a K and an I, ChristieOilBoom.com. There's a video there that you can learn more. Got to spread those assets around. All right. So I mentioned this just a minute ago. Trump is saying that he actually has no intention of firing Jerome Powell. Watch this.
You have no intention of firing Jerome Powell because your economic advisor, Kevin Hassett, a few days ago said that you and people in the White House were studying this idea of possibly going forward to Trump and do you have any plans on doing it?
None whatsoever. Never did. The press runs away with things. No, I have no intention of firing him. I would like to see him be a little more active in terms of his idea to lower interest rates. This is a perfect time to lower interest rates. If he doesn't, is it the end? No, it's not. But it would be good timing. It could have taken place earlier. But no, I have no intention to fire him.
Now we know that Trump is a master chess player, so he's continuing to put the pressure on. Is he just saying he has no intention of firing him because he wants to influence the sentiment of the market? Because it seems like when he backs off of that, the market numbers go up. I'm not sure, but he's continuing to keep the pressure on to lower those rates. We know that federal chairman Jerome Powell is no friend of the Trump administration. So just keeping an eye on how he continues to manipulate the situation. But despite all that, there's still more investment in America from CBS News. Since the start of President Trump's second term in office, a number of corporations have announced plans to expand their production capabilities in the U.S. The announcements come as some of the Trump administration's new tariffs take effect, with other import duties still pending. Companies are including Apple, Abbott Labs, Johnson & Johnson, Honda, and so many more that I just don't have time to list them all. And here's even more of the Trump effect. Greek yogurt maker Chobani is now to invest $1.2 billion in New York plant. I know my husband's a big fan of Chobani. It's too yogurty for me. It's too healthy for me. No, I like it too. All right. Now it's time to bring in Allison. She's so busy. She's working on that story concerning the SCOTUS victory for parents and Klaus Schwab, but she's also gotten some new things to talk about. And let's start with, since it's been a topic, let's start with how the Dems continue to destroy themselves. And AOC, she's been front and center. Why is she even more front and center than ever, Allison?
Well, it looks like the Democrats are sort of running around like chickens with their heads cut off. They just can't seem to figure out what direction they are going in after their massive loss this past election. They seem to be going in all different directions. It seems like the older Democrats are sort of bonding together, holding true to their, old school Democrat roots. Meanwhile, the younger crowd is trying to appeal to the young Gen Z followers that they have. And so it looks like they may be pushing AOC for a potential frontrunner for a presidential candidate in the next election. It's been clear she's been sort of rallying up the troops. She's been going out on these tours that actually are attracting a decent number of people, with Bernie Sanders, these, resisting the oligarchy tours or whatever ridiculous name they've dubbed them, actually attracting quite a large crowd, shockingly. But this is just really interesting, I find, because, with the turnout for Trump this last election season and, clearly Americans wanting to go in a different direction, wanting to go back to traditionalism, back to conservatism, we have the Democrats now pushing for AOC, who is quite possibly the most radical progressive they could possibly put, just going in the complete opposite direction of President Trump and everything that America truly stands for. You would think perhaps they would, maybe put forth someone a bit more moderate who could appeal to a wider range of people. But no, they opt for the full-blown socialist. So I think this is an interesting development and something that we should pay close attention to. And I think this is more of a reason to continue to send a strong message and appeal to the younger voters, because I think they're the only ones who would fall victim to the scam that the Democrats are trying to run here.
I mean, let's be real. She's pretty, and that's not necessarily a bad thing when you have a candidate. We can just look at our history, and sometimes the more attractive candidate can win. It's so petty, but we can go ahead and admit that. But there's definitely not substance behind there. I think it's going to take a lot to push someone like that forward. But really, we should highlight just how hypocritical they are. I mean, AOC, she won't even admit whether or not she has a Tesla. Remember that? She was asked directly if she still has a Tesla, and she's like, I'm not going to say. So those are the things I think we need to highlight, is just how out of touch with regular Americans she is.
Yeah, she truly is. And to further highlight that point, her whole being is, she showed up in that ridiculous dress, tax the rich. She wants to, just implement full-on socialism, yet here she is flying around in a private jet. This is, of course, one of the key proponents of the Green New Deal scam. She wants to, take away carbon. She wants to make us eat the bugs, all the other ridiculous things that Democrats push, take away our gas stoves, whatever. Meanwhile, I guess it's okay, rules for thee, but not for me. She is caught here flying around in a private jet. Take a look.
Yeah, they're all for green energy until they want to use up all the fuel they need to ride in style, right?
That's exactly right. They are the ultimate hypocrites, and I hope people see them for what they are. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Again, they want to take away from innocent Americans who are just trying to live their lives. We saw that under Biden. We saw the many attempts to, to just negatively impact us, whether it be the banning of gas stoves when, all of them prepare their holiday meals on gas stoves and probably get cooked for on their gas stoves every day. They want to protect the climate and raise awareness on climate change, which is that even a real issue that needs to be focused on? I don't know. But if it was, should you really be riding around in a private jet? I don't know. These are questions that I would like to have answered. So it's ridiculous, but it just further cements the fact that Democrats are totally lost. They're total hypocrites. And this is also very apparent, too, in California. As we know, Governor Gavin Newsom is under a lot of fire, no pun intended, for his handling of the fires there, amongst many, many other issues. The homeless crisis still completely out of control. And the budget is just, spiraling in a direction that is unable to be handled. So Gavin Newsom is severely struggling out in California. There is now another recall effort going on to try to oust him. Now the latest candidate to step in is Steve Hilton. He is from the UK, and he came out with a very strong message yesterday at his big announcement party yesterday in Huntington Beach, California. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Let me tell you, leading the greatest state in the greatest nation on earth is not some consolation prize to be handed out to a failed and rejected machine politician from Washington who can barely string a coherent sentence together and who thinks she should get this job because of her identity, not her ability. So bring it, Kamala. If you decide to run for governor, we will beat you again.
So there he was talking to Kamala, who I guess may be, running for governor in California to replace Newsom. That would be devastating. I don't know how she could even get elected unless, of course, it was rigged, because would anyone in their right mind vote for her? I don't know. But Steve Hilton, on the other hand, I'm not so sure about him either. He's I don't know, maybe a fake conservative, perhaps. He's got old tweets about being pro-LGBT and pro-abortion. So that doesn't sit too well with me. So all of this to say, I just think this should serve as a reminder to really do your research on these candidates. Of course, California is in desperate need of some serious change. I think it's the greatest state there is. That's my home. So I want to see someone who is capable of actually, going into the governor's position. But we really have to do our research. So just keep an eye out on California as these new candidates come into the race here.
Well, I think the biggest thing is election integrity. I mean, we are on Lindell TV, and California is just so strange. I believe I lived there when you lived there. I was anchoring in the Central Valley there. And I mean, I was part of that recall, under the radar. I was part of that recall effort. And it's unbelievable to me, the amount of signatures they got and all of that. And so it does not sit well with me. I feel California has been the classic cheating mechanism for some time, and the nation is they were able to kind of copy off of what California has been doing for decades, I'm sure. So that's going to be key to change, I think, in California. But we also have some more unhinged Democrats to talk about, right?
Yes, we do. This is, I saw this clip today and I could not play it for you, Christy. This is some unhinged Democrat congresswoman. Her name is Haley Stevens. Never heard of her before today, but since I saw it, you have to too. Let's roll the clip.
I yield the gentlelady 30 additional seconds.
The gentlewoman is recognized for an additional 30 seconds.
Cause of their servitude, sharing in the profession with those who have not come before you. Similar times of trying medical need, wars and flus past. You will see darkness, you will be pushed, and our society needs you to stand together at this time. Our country loves you. To our doctors and our nurses, I wear these latex
The gentlelady's time has expired. The gentleman from Maryland is reserved. The gentleman from Texas is recognized. The gentleman from Texas is now recognized. The gentlelady from Michigan is out of order. The gentlelady from Michigan is out of order. The gentlelady from Michigan is no longer recognized.
The gentle lady, there's nothing gentle about that lady, that's for sure. And wow, that was like nails on a chalkboard. You know, it's interesting though. We were just talking about AOC. We've seen AOC do this kind of nonsense too, just screaming and pouting. And I didn't understand the pink gloves. I was like, what, did they trade in the mask for the gloves? But I guess that was her support for the physicians. Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, absolute mess there. Again, you have to wonder, was there election fraud to get this woman into office? How does someone like that ever, win anything? That's shocking to me. But apparently she's also running for U.S. Senate. So I guess we'll know if these elections are or not based on whether or not she takes that position. But yeah, very concerning to say the least. These are actually members of Congress. This is someone who is, participating in, the our system here in Washington, D.C., and it's just very disturbing, to say the least. But in better news, President Trump actually was here on the North Lawn earlier this morning. There was sort of an impromptu gaggle where he talked to the press for quite a while. It's pretty funny. There's videos circulating on Twitter of all the fake news just running after him the second it was announced that he was going out there. Unfortunately, I missed it, but I wanted to play a clip, sort of the main takeaway from what he had to say this morning on the front lawn.
They all want to be involved with America, and we have a lot of action going on. We're making a lot of money, this country. This country is not going to be losing money on trade anymore. We were losing $2 trillion a year on trade. Now we're going to be making money, a lot of money. So that's very good. Every country wants to partake, even countries that have ripped us off for many, many years. China is an example, but it's not just China. European Union, they ripped us off for many, many years, and those days are over. We're going to make a lot of money for our people. We'll be able to lower taxes substantially, and we're going to be proud of ourselves. We're not going to be a laughing stock that got taken advantage of by virtually every country in the world.
So, good news there. It sounds like we're making a lot of progress, inching closer to that deal that has been sort of on the table and being debated over for quite a few weeks now, right? But it sounds like President Trump is confident. They said yesterday in the briefing that they are currently negotiating with 34 countries and counting. So it sounds like we're making some good progress, and President Trump seems very hopeful for the future of whatever will result with China here.
Well, one thing that President Trump is very good at is the marketability of what he says. You know, it's funny sometimes when we listen to him because he sounds like he's repeating himself a lot, but he knows this whole savvy of slogans and repetition so that basically the newsmakers have nothing else to play but what he's saying over and over again. And this is something that he's been trying to hit home and he's been doing very well at, is just how unfair things have been for far too long. And that is why this, what might seem like aggressive action, is being taken. It's to level the playing field. And to that end, he's also had Doge trying to cut the massive budget down because there's so much government waste. But it sounds like there's perhaps new developments there. We've had some false flags when it comes to Elon Musk's involvement. But what is being reported now?
Yes, we did have that scare, I think it was a few weeks ago, that Elon Musk was no longer going to be working with the Doge team to continue to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. But as we know, also when Doge itself was announced, it was just a temporary job that was set to expire right around this time here coming up soon. So his time is pretty much almost up, but sounds like he's confirming that he is going to start to slowly separate himself from Doge. He's sort of got, the blocks in place here to get the system running efficiently so that we can continue to monitor the waste, fraud, and abuse. He doesn't necessarily need to be so involved at this point in time. And, he's got AI and his team that he's assembled helping him. So it sounds like he may be stepping back slowly here as we approach that deadline for the end date of Doge to focus more on Tesla and getting back to business matters of his own. So, of course, we appreciate all of the work that he's done. I think he's done a fantastic job, and hopefully he continues to keep an eye on it so that we can prevent more of this waste, fraud, and abuse from happening in the future.
Absolutely. And I believe that he will stay involved. They've said this whole time that this is only temporary. And then I believe originally that he was supposed to step away in May. But he does need to focus on his own companies, because that's a big part of the big economic picture is the success of his own companies. And so I think his job is probably near completion. He's kind of got this thing going with who he's delegated these tasks to. So I don't think it's too much of a surprise, and it's certainly nothing wrong with the relationship between Trump and Elon Musk, although I'm sure we can expect the legacy media to spin it that way. Well, Allison, I know you have so much to cover. Get back to what's going on in the White House. I know President Trump is expected to sign even more EOs later today. Perhaps we'll be covering some of that, as well as the other topics I mentioned earlier. I believe you'll be on with Emerald here at about 2:30, and then following with Vanessa, and so much more in store here on Lindell White House Live. So thank you, Allison, so much.
Thank you so much, Christy.
Yep. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then when I return, I'm going to finally try and fly through some more news related to the deranged Dems, all in on illegals, and possible motives related to that. So that's up just after this.
Have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? Well, I recently saw a video he made and I was shocked. That guy's amazing and he's staying active well into his 80s. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did this by just making one change. He says he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger, her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Chuck made a very special video that explains everything. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/Lindell. It will change the way you think about your health. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/Lindell. You won't believe how simple it is. If you want to feel and look your best, you need to check out Pure Health Research. They have 45 premium health supplements that are designed to help you with everyday health goals. Whether it's boosting your energy or trimming belly fat, supporting healthy blood sugar, pumping your testosterone up, or even reducing swelling in your legs, Pure Health Research Supplement Store has you covered. Each formula is crafted with natural, non-GMO ingredients, backed by clinical research and manufactured right here in the USA. And here's the best part. Pure Health Research is offering you an exclusive 35% discount. Just go to purehealthresearch.com and use promo code Lindell at checkout. With their 365-day money-back guarantee, there's nothing to lose. So head over to purehealthresearch.com now, explore their 45 amazing supplements, and save 35% before this deal ends with promo code Lindell.
All right, welcome back to Christy Lee's DC Dispatch, kicking off the live coverage from Lindell's White House Live each and every day, Monday through Friday. Again, starting right at 1 Eastern. To return, I have been trying to get to this topic, but just haven't been able to yet. So let's dive in. We are talking more of the deranged Dems, all in on illegals, and it's quite the head scratcher. We're starving for answers. We're wondering, what could this possibly be? To drive the point home, Stephen Miller is so excellent on just the main focus is they're focusing on the illegals and their process, their due process, their reprieve, which if they didn't take a process to come here, then why did they get a process to get out? But listen to him, and then I'll return with some more on the other side.
No court in this country, least of all a district court, has the power to compel the president of El Salvador to free one of his own citizens, an illegal alien in our country who's a citizen of his country, a subject of El Salvador, who under El Salvador's laws is also a terrorist in our country, a terrorist in his country. El Salvador is not subject to the court rulings of the United States. To suggest they are would be preposterous.
No. They said
but that's the bottom line. He is in the custody of El Salvador, a sovereign country.
Right.
He's not in our custody.
It doesn't make any
Laura,
sense.
you have the entire Democrat Party that is in love with this gangster in El Salvador who beat his wife, who's a member of a terrorist organization, who has code for MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles. And you've seen the amount of coverage, the amount of discussion over this one illegal alien gangster. What was the reprieve for Americans who watched their communities get occupied by these foreign gangs? Where was their due process? Where was their rights? Where was the media and where were the courts when their loved ones were getting beaten, raped, and murdered? That's who President Trump is fighting for, not foreign terrorists, Americans.
And this is just basic logic. So we have these Democrats all in defying logic. And what's even more puzzling is they don't even have the side of the people. Marylanders do not even side with this. You know, a lot of attention has been brought on Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen and his efforts to help his constituent, who isn't even his constituent. He's Kilmar is a El Salvadorian citizen. And so Fox News went out and asked Marylanders, how do you feel about this? And they don't even have them on their side. Watch.
He was living in Maryland, designated MS-13 terrorist, and Donald Trump deported him. How does that make you feel?
I feel safer.
He gotta go. He gotta go.
Need to go. I mean, that's it.
But he was a father.
But he's still a terrorist.
Okay. I mean, but there's children living without fathers now.
He should have picked and choose, so he picked to be a terrorist instead of worrying about his children.
The Democrats, they want him back. They say he was wrongfully deported. He has a wife and a kid who's a citizen. They're calling this a national emergency. Is this a national emergency?
I wouldn't call it a national emergency. We got more things going on.
We have more things, more fish to fry.
I just found out.
This goes on and on and on. They can't seem to find anyone that thinks that this is a good idea. So the people are not on their side. And Senator Schmidt says what we're all thinking. What are they doing? Watch this.
I can't believe that these Democrats are lining up to go down to a foreign country to visit a guy who was here illegally, a criminal, an MS-13 member who beat his wife. I mean, you can't be more plain than that. That's who this is. So I think all along, Martha, they were looking for some example of something President Trump would do that was so bad that they could rally behind. I can't believe that they're that stupid that this is the guy. This is the poster child now for their movement.
So exactly, what are they doing? Why are they doing this? We are starving for an answer. And to that end, there is an interesting theory making the rounds. So take a look at this. We are going to look at this post from X. It is from Mean Gene, and it has a picture of the article of Democrat pilgrimages to visit MS-13 terrorist continues. And it mentions Seth Rich. It says, this is why the Democrats want to get him. Change my mind. So I looked, it wasn't too hard to find others talking about this. And you find a post from Karma Patriot, and it shares a picture of the meeting between Chris Van Hollen and Kilmar, and Hillary Clinton had reposted that. If we can bring up that truth. And it says, well, I'll be darned. It looks like Hillary crawled out of the woodwork to defend her boy, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Nothing to see here. Nothing at all. If we can bring up that truth, please. Then it goes through the dates starting from 2011. Kilmar enters the U.S. illegally in 2011 without inspection and moves to, if you scroll down, moves to Maryland. And 2019, he was at a Home Depot that we've heard reported extensively. That was in Prince George County Police Department that he was pulled over basically at a Home Depot with others. And an officer had interviewed him just 4 days after Corporal Ivo Menendez interviewed Garcia. Fellow officers reported him for leaking confidential information about an ongoing investigation to a sex worker, supposedly. So he was the lead detective on Kilmar Abrego Garcia's case, and he was suspended. Is that a coincidence? Plaintiff Abrego Garcia appeared for his first hearing in immigration court on April 24th of 2019. ICE offered the gang field interview sheet. Abrego's attorney contacted the PGPD, informed the detective that had that sheet was suspended. So they didn't have the incident report then. And then it goes on to say that Seth Rich was murdered on July 10th, 2016, while walking home from Lou's City Bar through his neighborhood in Northwest Washington, D.C. in 2016. Kilmar Abrego Garcia lived in George County, Maryland. So he was apparently living in the U.S. illegally, just 30 minutes away from where Seth Rich was murdered on July 10th, 2016. So this is the rumor going around. There's some pictures to illustrate that further in the post. But I asked Grok about this whole situation, just to see if I could make some sense of these connections. And here's some of the answers I got. So I asked him about Seth Rich and his connections to possibility of being taken out by MS-13. It says there's no credible evidence or official law enforcement report linking MS-13 to the murder of Seth Rich. Okay, so no official authority linkage there. When I asked who Seth Rich was, Grok tells me Seth Rich was a 27-year-old Democrat National Committee staffer who worked as a voter expansion data director. His death sparked widespread conspiracy theories that we're talking about right now, particularly among some right-wing groups falsely claiming he was involved in leaking DNC emails to WikiLeaks. These theories have been repeatedly debunked by law enforcement fact checkers and intelligence agencies, which found no evidence linking Rich to the leaks or any political assassination. His murder remains unsolved. So when you read that now, debunked by law enforcement fact checkers and intelligence agencies, I mean, how much do we trust those sources as figures of authority anymore after everything else that has supposedly been debunked, like the lab leak theory was supposedly debunked, that masks don't work was debunked, so obviously we can take that with a grain of salt. So if the conspiracy theories have been debunked, we've seen all related documents concerning his murder then, right? That's another question I asked Grok. And this is what Grok said. It says, no, not all Seth Rich files have been released. So again, I said everything had been debunked, but then when I ask it directly, well, then all files have been released then, right? It says, no, not all Seth files have been released. The FBI has been involved in an ongoing Freedom of Information Act litigation regarding records related to Seth Rich's murder. The FBI initially denied having responsive records in 2017, but later admitted to possessing over 20,000 pages, including just over 1,500 directly related to Rich after FOIA litigation. Despite this, the full scope of these records remain withheld, and the FBI has not fully complied with disclosure orders. So the official story remains it was a botched robbery. So what was taken from him? And this is the response there. Official reports and statements from law enforcement indicate that nothing was taken from him. His wallet, watch, and other personal belongings were still on his body when police arrived at the scene. So in a summary, everything was debunked about his relation to DNC, leaked emails. There's no authority that will say any correlation between MS-13 being suspected of killing Seth Rich. But yet the agencies have thousands upon thousands of documents that they won't release. The official story is that it was a botched robbery, but everything remained on him. And we still don't have all those documents. We still don't have all of the documents, but it was just a botched robbery. And for those that follow Q, I myself never really got into that, but for those that do, here is a Q drop from November 5th, 2017. It says, why is MS-13 a priority? I mean, we're asking ourselves that right now. Why is MS-13 a priority for the Democratic Party, that they're willing to basically die on this hill that is not popular of defending these illegal criminals and propping them up, trying to get this man back? So why is MS-13 a priority? And the post says, could people pay such gangs to kill opponents? And why? How to insulate against exposure? What happens to the witnesses? Expand your thinking. So there you go. That is the rumor mill that I'm telling you what they're saying, and I'm telling you what the official story is. And, questions remain. It still remains a head scratcher. So I give you the information. Now you decide. All right. That's it for DC Dispatch today. So much more in store. We've got Emerald coming up and Vanessa. Allison's there on the ground in DC to bring you continued coverage of whatever happens the rest of this day. And we'll continue to try and solve these mysteries for you. That's it for DC Dispatch. I'll see you tomorrow.